Welcome back to Keys to the PNW, the show where we unlock the stories, the people, and the hidden gems that make life in the upper left truly special. I'm your host, Donna Musin, and today's guest is a true architect of change in our community. Pauline Lee is the founder of the Program for Intellectual Empowerment and Unified Art Studio. She is a visionary who sees the intersection of education and art not just as a curriculum, but as a way to truly empower the minds in our community. Pauline's work is centered around a profound shift in the educational paradigm, moving away from a focus on compliance and instead fostering true understanding and agency. Through her expertise in Neuro-Semantic Learning, she provides neurodivergent individuals with the tools to name their thinking, find their voice, and navigate the world with confidence. Whether she's leading a session at Pi or fostering creativity at Unified Art Studio, Pauline is dedicated to meeting people exactly where they are and showing us all what it means to build an inclusive village. Pauline, I cannot tell you how excited and how so looking forward to this conversation I have been. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. What an intro.
I like to set it up
flattered and humbled.
so that people, I do my homework, and I want, for anyone listening to this, I want them to really kind of grasp, what each guest I bring to the table, what they are, what they do, the passion that they have. So
Well
thank
done.
you for the compliment.
Mhm.
Pauline, I know a little bit about your story, but I'm going to be honest. I probably am going to learn a lot today as well. Right. So,
Hopefully.
because I've never formally asked you all the questions I'll probably ask you today, I've just gleaned from being in your orbit what it is you do. And let me just say what I do know, even before learning what I'm going to learn today, you're pretty spectacular and definitely a community builder. So kind of take me back. We're going to go back in the Wayback Machine and we're going to roll it back to where did this start? What got you thinking about heading down the path that you're on now?
So I think it can start at with my family. So growing up, I had a cousin with autism, and we were all really close. He had a brother, Jason, and Leland, and we lived in Bakersfield. My family lived in Bakersfield. They lived in LA, and it was about an hour and a half away, and we used to drive there all the time. And back then, people with autism, it's not any better now, but it's a lot of misunderstood things. And they really tried to kind of fit him in a box. He was verbal, but, always trying to push that, which there's nothing wrong with it. I remember I used to actually help. He had an ABA therapist. He was actually one of the first people to work with CARD, which is the Center for Autism Related Disorders. And they're really big. But I used to sit in on his sessions and help the therapist. And sadly, at one point in our childhood, I had disclosed to his brother, Jason, that his brother, Leland, had autism or was different. And that night, Jason prayed over his brother, and his mother got very angry. And I remember my mom getting a call from my aunt, and she was just really angry at the fact that we had told her son, that her other son was different. And we essentially got cut off from them. So I didn't get to see him. I didn't get to see my cousins for a long time, actually. And it wasn't until Leland was having an art show that we got invited. And I remember there was an apology because somewhere along the lines, Leland was given a marker. And then they found out that he had this extraordinary gift. His work is astounding. It's very Picasso-esque. It's very bright and vivid. He was obsessed with the anytime parking signs that are everywhere. Well, there are no parking anytime in LA. And so his pictures would be like streets and there were just colorful streets and like the sign everywhere. And it was just, I remember looking at his art and just realizing that we're getting a glimpse into almost like how he sees the world. And I remember being really excited about it, and just like that's been a part of me, that knowing that people with disabilities, they have these gifts, they've got these talents, they have a whole other side to them that I believe creativity can tap into. And so, after we were able to kind of reconcile with my cousins, I went on to college, and I actually went to school for art. I got a scholarship for my art. And then around 19, I remember I was praying and reading my Bible, and I heard God say that I was going to open a program one day and change the world. Now I credit God, because I think at like 30, if I had heard that, I don't think I would have done it. I'd be like, you're crazy.
Sure.
But at 19, being so innocent, naive, I'm like, okay, cool. So everything I did was guided on that kind of premise. So I switched my major, actually, and I double majored, actually, and got child, adolescent, family studies, and then got my teaching credential in California. I actually can teach in California and here. I can teach K through 12, and I can teach every disability. So in California, things are a little bit different, and you have mild, moderate, severe. So I can cover all the spectrums from like
Hmm.
infant to 22. And then from there, I started teaching. I was a teacher for a long time.
Just conventional teaching?
Special ed.
Special ed, okay.
Yeah.
In a regular school district?
Yeah. So actually, my
Okay.
first job was at Camp Pendleton on the Marine base. And that, that experience really shaped me with how delicate the brain can be when it comes to trauma. So on that military base, that elementary school had 7 mental health counselors for those kids, because some of them, 2 of them in my class, second and third grade, they had already moved maybe 9 times.
Wow.
Dad was maybe on wife number 4.
Oh, geez. So these kids have already been through so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And being a kid, with their agency not being complete, you get fragmented. There's the whole world that they don't understand. They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to even process it. So I taught there, and that was I actually ended up leaving, because in California, they have a cap. So if you're a resource teacher, you have a cap of students, something I learned Oregon doesn't have, which they really should. But um, the school had increased to a 6-8, and they were supposed to hire a resource teacher, and they didn't. They couldn't find anybody, and so they asked if there are any special ed teachers that would take it interimly. And so I said, sure, I'll take it, because my principal had promised at the time that she would fill it in 2 weeks. She had applicants, and it'd be fine. I'm like, okay. This was in October. I ended up leaving in February, and she never found anybody until I put in
Oh,
my 2 weeks notice, because quite honestly, I was doing too good of a job. So I
yeah.
had a case of 45, which is against the California law limit. I had like IEP meetings every week. I had 2 whiteboards full of schedules for all the kids. But in the end, I realized that she was never going to hire anybody, because why would you?
Yeah. You made it easy for her.
And, had 2 weeks, and then, yeah, she found somebody. I trained them, and then I actually moved up here. I drove in February of 2014, where right after you guys had a big snowstorm. So I drove into a very silent, quiet, everything closed. No.
Yeah. We don't get snow very often, right?
My sister was just walking everywhere with the sled, on the streets.
So
Yeah.
how old were you at this point?
When I moved here was
You don't have to divulge your age, but like had it been since you had your first epiphany on I'm being called to do this? Like had
oh,
it been like 5, 7
it probably been
years?
about 7 years, 8
Okay.
years. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we ladies don't always tell our age, so it's okay.
And so, yeah, then I landed in Oregon, started teaching in the school district, and then my last job in the school district wasn't that good. I started having panic attacks because I wasn't happy. I didn't want to go to work. I
Mhm.
wasn't a I wasn't in a good classroom. I'm not going to say much because I don't like to speak against the
Yeah,
school district.
absolutely.
But that ended up being the kind of the kick where I was like, okay, I'm done with the school district. And God was like, it's time to start on your own. And so then in 2018 opened. We really more operated like a classroom without a school, I would
Hmm.
say. I had no idea anything. I just knew, that I had these kids that wanted to learn from me. And we, and now what, like 8 years ish later, here we are.
Holy cow, time flies, right?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe when I was reading up because I try to do my homework, and I know you've said this in other groups I've been in that you started in 2018 with a small group.
Hmm.
Has it been Pi from the beginning?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay. Okay. How did you come to that name? I mean, it could just be as simple as it worked, or was there something more behind it?
So it was actually a culmination of the moms. So when we were trying to figure out a name, I really wanted something that spoke to what we were trying to do. And in hindsight, I actually think our name is a little bit of a hindrance for us because when people, what does that mean? What
Hmm.
program for, how do um, but we ended up like a lot of the moms kind of put forth their choices. And then I think we had like top three. I remember one of them being ACE. I don't remember the name, like the words. I just remember my criteria was that I wanted it, if we were going to abbreviate it, I wanted it to make sense.
Yeah.
So I wanted to like say something. And so then PI, Program for Intellectual Empowerment, was one of them. Everyone voted. They just kind of voted for that one.
Well, it's catchy.
Mhm.
It rolls off the tongue. It's easy. And I it always leaves me wanting to know more, right?
Yeah.
So, gotta just make sure we tell the story, and that's part of why I wanted you to sit down with me today,
Yeah.
was
Just
to
wait
tell
until
this story.
we open our cafe, a slice of pie.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I
Yeah.
love that. And we'll talk more later. So for anyone listening, Pauline has many sides. She's like an onion. There are so many layers. And, that whole pie, slice of pie will make more sense later. But so I know you've described yourself as an obedient leader to
Mm,
this vision,
mhm.
right? And I know that to any vision, anytime you're stepping out on your own, it can be really scary. What were some of the early challenges of staying true to that mission when it really kind of goes against all the traditional school setting and methods?
So I think early on, I didn't. So now, like how I am now, I have a more of like an executor, like admin kind of mind. But when I started, I was still in teacher mind.
Oh,
And
gotcha.
so it was difficult dealing with the parents because they still wanted like a school kind of experience,
Hmm.
but I couldn't offer that. And so in the beginning, there was a lot of kind of like pushing of back and forth, not between like the moms or anything, but more between like my staff and them not understanding the direction we were going. Mind
Hmm.
you, I have the same staff that started with me. So they never left.
That's amazing. So they grew with you.
Yeah. So they all kind of and they all came from different walks of life. Actually, she's been with me since the beginning. Caitlin, she'll probably be listening to this. We actually didn't get along at first. She was an
Huh.
aide in my classroom. And
Okay.
from a teacher standpoint and like aide standpoint, we kind of like bumped heads a little bit. But when I started Pi, she was one of the first people I thought of to bring with for some reason. And she was going through some of her own things that made her choose to come with me a lot easier. And I will say, I don't think she knew what she was getting herself into. Um,
That's
but
probably good.
yeah, I think that she was like, well, it's better than what I am in now, kind of thing. And to this day, she still works with us. She actually runs the social media. So if you send a message to Pi or Unified or anything like that, it's usually her.
Oh,
Um,
fantastic.
but she's done so many other things. And one of my other staff kind of came with another kid and he had his own like kind of goals and stuff. But for some reason, once he met me, even though I kept saying like, okay, the motto I have is that I'm flying the plane as I build it. So you got to hold on tight.
Even though this is not a typical entrepreneurial space, right? Most people, when they think of entrepreneurs, they think of a shop, they think of a, something like that. That's how though all of us entrepreneurs roll. Because I think if we knew then what we know now, we might not have ever started,
Yeah.
because when we decide to walk into that unknown, there is so much trust, faith, fortitude,
Mhm. Yeah, there's
bravery
lots.
that has to exist.
It's very humbling too
Yeah.
because I'm super collaborative. So I always say like I need a sounding board. So most of the decisions that are made in Pi are not made solely by me. I'm always asking my team, my staff, like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? What if we did this? Like any idea that pops in my head, they know the craziness, and it's thank goodness for them, because I think if I didn't have them, I'd be like all over the place. But also thank goodness for them because they also in the craziness will do what needs to happen to make things work. And so, yeah.
Something must be working. It's been 8 years. And from what I've known, and I've been around you now since, I would say since 2022,
Yeah.
23. So about
Mhm.
4 years,
That's
going
when
on
we
4 years.
started the chamber. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, every year it keeps growing and building on itself. And I just think it's incredible what you do. And there's not a lot of people doing what you do, the way you do it. There are other organizations, there's other groups, there's other people in the space that are trying to help. But what you offer is very, at least from what I've gleaned, unique.
Yeah.
Your approach is unique.
Yeah, I mean, we utilize the neuro-semantic language learning theory, which I learned at the University of Portland. So when I moved to Oregon, I didn't have my master's. So in California, you don't need your master's to teach. For some reason, in Oregon, I think they make everyone get their master's. I did not want to get a master's in special ed. I lived it and breathed it. I don't need a master's in it. And so I actually waited for a long time to find a master's program that I thought would really kind of, I wanted something different. I wanted something that like could change things. And I learned about this methodology from one of the parents that her kid was in my class, and he was going to this it was called Apricot Clinic at the time. And so then I went to a few workshops. I got really curious, and then I learned they had a master's program, and so I immediately applied and I got in, praise God. And so while while I actually, a lot of people don't know this, so while I was opening Pi, I actually started my master's at the same
Oh,
time.
girl.
So the
They say
year
when you jump, I mean, you might as well go all the way. And it
yeah
sounds like that's exactly what you did.
Yeah, I joined Chambers after I graduated my master's. So I graduated my master's, I think, in like 2021-ish. And that's when I got really serious with like the business side. But the NSLT, that's the abbreviated thing. It looks at three lenses. And so right now the methodology that's mainly used is ABA. And ABA mainly just looks at behavioralism. It looks at a behavior and it tries to explain it. Then the NSLT looks at behavior, conceptual development, and language. And so it looks at all three lenses of how people operate, what
Hmm.
makes up a person, what's your agency. And agency is basically your who and your why. So a lot of people might know their what, like you're a person,
Yeah.
but as far as like who they are as a person or why they are a person, it's a little bit hit or miss. And that's just true of everybody. If more people knew their who's and their whys as for themselves, then we probably wouldn't have as many problems as we do.
I was gonna say, if more of us were in tune to that, we'd probably be a much nicer society.
Yeah. And so in the NSLT, so there's four different levels when it comes to creating networks in your brain and raising your developmental levels. Because despite what people think, development is not linear. So meaning like when we get older, right, we don't just develop and get better. Because if that were true, we wouldn't have like 6-year-olds that run around like idiots. Development is acquired. And
Yes.
so we have to acquire our development. And in the neuro, there's 4 levels to that acquisition. And in education and in ABA, you only touch the first 2 levels.
Mhm.
And so in our program, we go all the way up to the fourth level, which creates the networks and actually creates change in the brain. And so that's kind of how it all works. What I mean by like conceptual development and language. So everyone has concepts, right?
Mhm.
And concepts are the things that what I call concepts are your brain is like a filing cabinet and every concept has a file. And meaning like, history, politics, cat, dog. Those are
Mhm.
all could be concepts. And everyone's file, say in your filing cabinet, it could be really big, could be a big file with tons of different memories, things, people telling you stuff, conversations, pictures, or it could be really sparse. So like
Mhm.
I like to say like a lot of people probably have a politics file, meaning like
Mhm.
they know the word, but in regards to what's in it and how much like they know, it can most I would say that the American public mostly has a very sparse
Yeah,
politics file.
I would
Which is
agree
why
with
it's
that.
which is why it's pretty easy to sway them.
Right.
Um, and why when it comes to politics, there's a phenomenon that happens in the NSLT. What we call it is borrowed language, and a lot of people with disabilities have borrowed language.
Mm.
And borrowed language is basically you hear something, sounds good, you don't really know what it's about, but say you're having a conversation, someone brings up politics, and you just kind of say it.
So you parrot it back.
Yeah, and so then if you ever want to know if someone's doing borrowed language, you ask them more about it. And
Mhm.
most likely they'll change the subject because their
Ah,
file is empty now.
tips and tricks for everyone.
They've used their like, thing.
Yeah,
And because their file's not as robust as maybe like an actual politician's,
yeah.
you know, it's
Yeah,
it's
that
easy.
file, that's all that was in that file, really.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
then that we look at that lens. And then on top of that, we look at language. And so like if a kid is having a behavior, we first need to see where they are conceptually. Are they operating at sensory motor, pre-operational, concrete, or formal? Sensory motor is mainly like babies. They cannot
Mhm.
think without an extension of someone else. So
Okay.
everything for babies is they learn through someone else. And then pre-operational is usually 3 to 7. And that's like the me, myself, and I age. And a lot of people don't grow out of that age.
I know a few.
Yeah.
We shall not name names. Maybe in
Yeah.
another podcast.
Yeah. But if you ever have someone that's all about me, myself, and I, you can be like, all right, they have a 3 to 7-year-old kind of brain.
Okay. Okay.
And then concrete is the kind of the we and us thinking. And so that is usually 7 to about 14-ish. And then formal. And these ages are meaningless, to tell you the truth. It's just what the developmental linear kind of says you're
Yeah.
supposed to grow out of. And then formal is they and them. And so that's when you start thinking like, like a lot of politicians, their politics file is formal because they're
Mhm.
thinking about how government they should be thinking about how government should serve the others, right?
Yes.
And so the other thing with your concepts and conceptual development is that you can also have concepts at different levels,
Mhm.
right? So you could have a politics file that's super formal. You can have a dog file that's like pre-operational, where you just like maybe don't like dogs, and so it's very sparse and it's all about me, myself, and I. And then so we look at that and then we look at language. And so the language piece is really like that borrowed language, like is whatever's coming out making sense, right?
Mhm.
If they don't have language, that also doesn't mean that their conceptual development is high. I've had a lot of nonverbal kids that their receptive language is really high, but their expressive is not. And the wonderful thing about the NSLT, if it's utilized the right way, continuously and like across the board, my kiddos that are nonverbal actually do start to speak, and so it's quite fascinating. Another fun little tidbit that I always have to warn parents about when you start the NSLT is your kids will start to sleep. I, every time within a week, I have parents like, my kid won't wake up. He's been asleep for 16 hours. What's going on? I'm like, his brain is processing, his brain is learning. Because the thing is when when we're asleep, our brains are actually washing itself. So it
Mhm.
actually washes the debris, gets rid of
Yeah.
like anything that's not important in your short term. But when you in education, like ABA, when you only hit the first 2 levels, you're not building networks. And so there's not really a really need for sleep. in a sense of how the brain needs to sleep in order to wash itself.
Yeah.
And so when you start working within the brain in the NSLT and start making those networks, the kids start really getting tired. And, the fun thing is anytime we have new kids start with us, we always know that they're learning, because one of the other phenomenons when we start this is the kids will start to yawn a lot.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
they'll be in the middle of work, or we might be asking them a question. All of a sudden, they're just like, and we're all like, yeah,
That's a good sign.
yeah. And it actually just happened. We just hired a new staffer, and so he's learning all about it. And he's really excited, and he was working with one of the kiddos, and he's one of our newer ones. And while working, he yawned, and he got so the staffer was like, oh, he got so excited because he had never seen it before. But
So the
I was
next
like,
time I yawn in a meeting, I'm going to tell everyone it's a good thing.
yeah, your brain needs more oxygen to process what's going on.
Yeah, but and my sleep habits are terrible, so I might have a dirty brain.
Yeah.
It
Well,
needs
maybe
washing.
you also need just more mental learning, you know,
Oh,
education,
I do
all
not
that
know
stuff.
how I could fit that in.
Yeah. I mean, I get that.
I need another file cabinet.
Mm. I actually spent this week and last week redoing my office because I'm trying to purposely build in professional development and
Mhm.
learning things, just because I always am like, oh, I'll just do it after work. Yeah, right. Right.
Uh, I am a firm believer in, whatever you're doing, whatever your job, your craft, your whatever. Like the minimum requirements for what I do for a living, I think is about 90 hours a year, and I do well over 200 in continuing education.
Mhm.
And then I also read books like from Vaclav Smil. If anybody Googles that person, they're going to go, Why? Why are you reading that? The history of all things, physics, weird stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
cool.
I'm kind of a nerd in a good way. Like everybody thinks that's like a slam. No,
Mm.
call me a nerd every day of the week.
Yeah.
To me, I'd rather have somebody call me a nerd than tell me I look pretty.
Yeah.
I know I
Yeah.
look great. It's fine. No, I'm
Yes.
kidding. I'm kidding. I am kidding.
No, you do. I
Um,
always look up to you. I'm like, man, she was put together. I gotta live that
oh,
real
it's
full
all
life.
just smoke and mirrors, man. Inside, I'm crumbling and dying. But aren't we all to some degree, right? I think at least though, I think I have a lot of humility, even if I don't outwardly express it. So I may seem put together. What's going on inside? If I had thought bubbles, oh man. And if I ever have a brain episode, like a stroke or something, and that filter goes away, y'all are gonna hear all the nonsense.
Yeah, I always say, man, thank goodness there's not a thought bubble above my head.
Oh,
I'd be in some
I'd
trouble.
have some explaining to do. Although at that point I probably won't care.
Yeah.
So when you talk, so I know on your website and when I've heard you speak, you talk about shifting. How does this the
Shifting
what
the
you've just
paradigm of education.
from compliance to agency?
So, I mean,
Because
it,
that's a big deal. I think people, like you said earlier, trying to put them in a box
mhm.
somewhere where it's like, okay, I can define this. This is what it is.
I mean, the really what we're doing is shifting it, right? The more people that learn about the NSLT, or just there is a better model out there, is how we can do it. I have YouTubes about our methodology this year. I keep saying it, but we're already in March and it's almost going to be April.
I know, right?
But this year I have plans to actually make more videos, just because people have been asking. And so it's a very slow process, because education is the way it is. One of the reasons why I left was because they weren't interested in learning new things. They spend their money on the curriculum that they have, and then they expect their teachers to do it, and that's fine. Um,
Yeah.
but that kind of model, in my opinion, is outdated,
Hmm.
because, you know, children, education, learning, the way that we do it now is, we manufacture them by age. And so for some reason, in education, they believe that the only thing that kids have in common is age. Whereas at Pi, we have, across the hall, we've got 6-year-olds and 12-year-olds, in their private program. And then we've got bigger kids here. We've got, 29-year-olds, and they all mesh together. Like, they all can learn from each other. Um, and they don't worry about what grade they're in. They don't worry about how old somebody is. Um, each kid is so individualized here. Like, we really look at each individual and figure out, and that's the beauty of the NSLT is you look at each kid, you look at their agency, you look at their learning, you look at them as a whole instead of seeing kids and seeing them as a unified unit to
Hmm.
program certain things
Yeah.
into, you know? And again, there's not like I don't teachers are wonderful.
Yeah.
I was a teacher, and I don't like I sometimes I do feel bad for my fellow teacher friends because I know what they're kind of going through.
Yeah.
Um, and it's hard because teachers want to do so much more. Like they do want to like teach more. They want to impart more. They want to take the time, but they can't when you have standardized testing and paperwork and so many other things to deal with. Um, and so that's another reason why I left, because if I wanted to make change happen, I couldn't do it from that vantage point. You
Yeah.
know, being a part of it, you kind of your hands are tied.
Yeah. You're stuck
Um,
within those guardrails.
yeah. And so being out of it, I think, we are shifting things with what we believe and we have good relationship with the school district. I invite teachers here all the time, and I just taught actually a field trip that came in and I love it because I get to be a teacher again and it warms my heart to see the teachers love it and benefit from it. Just because it's just, you get excited. Teachers want to teach. They did it because they love kids,
Yeah.
they love, imparting a knowledge, and it's hard when you tie their hands and you tell them, what to do basically. And so many of my teacher friends, we support PI supports as much as we can, so like
Hmm.
if you're a teacher and you need teacher supplies, reach out to PI. You
Yeah.
need snacks for your kids, reach out to PI. Like anything that you need as a teacher, if you're a donors choose and you have a project, send it my way. We
Yeah.
will fund it, we'll support it. We will never not support our teachers,
Yeah.
because I've been there and I know that they're doing the best that they can.
Well, and they're so overextended
Yeah,
and under resourced.
yeah.
And and that's not about placing any kind of blame. It's
Mm-mm.
just it's kind of the beast that it's become.
Yeah, because what I learned is that the bottom line is education is business.
It is. I mean, fortunately, unfortunately, that's for everybody listening to make up their own mind, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them what to think on that, but it is a business. And when you run something like that that has so many unique individuals in it,
Yep.
there are those that are going to fall through the cracks. And it's not the teacher's fault.
No.
It's not even the principal's fault, or
No.
it's the system.
Yeah.
You think of it kind of like how our healthcare system is broken.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
It's
that's why, like, to shift the paradigm, we have to do it outside of it.
yeah.
We have to educate. We have to let people know about this methodology, spread the word, help just because teachers can start, they can also infuse it into it's easy to just infuse. Like you don't need anything special. It makes sense most of the time. Like when people learn about it, it's like, wow, this is fascinating. This is something that totally makes sense. I can see this. And so it's just like, just start trying to utilize it. I couldn't do it then. And I don't know if it's any easier, but the more people that kind of learn from it and just start, then, that shift will start to happen.
Absolutely. So, along with pie,
Mhm.
you have brought in a lot of art
Yes.
by design, I know. Unified Art Studio is
Yes.
alongside pie.
Mhm.
How does that idea of that paintbrush help a student unlock that potential?
So, creativity can be so many different things. And really what we look for is what do they care about? I was watching Friends last night and it's the one where Rachel quits, and she's being retrained on how to be a waitress at the coffee shop. And at some point she's like, you know what, I quit. And, Gunther's like, what? He's like, I just don't care. I don't care about this. I don't care about that. I don't care about the coffee. I don't, and she just goes off about all the things that he's trying to teach her that she just didn't care about. And because it comes down to, what do you care about? And a lot of people would say, like, oh, I care about, the food I'm going to eat, or I care about the TV show I'm going to watch. But those are things that you like, right?
Mhm.
But they're not things that you care about. The things you care about are things that you're just super passionate about, that if it went away, you would die, you would get super upset. It's
Mhm.
really those files that are really big and like just you pour your heart into. And so we find the things that kids care about. And it can be anything. Like, I have one kid, he's kind of obsessed with fingernails, and he just really likes them. He's always looking at his, and so I started teaching him how to do nails. So like he's starting to paint because he's got really good fine motor skills too. So he's starting to paint like press on nails
Oh,
because it's something he cares about.
yeah.
Right. We think that if you can find the thing you care about and you can make a career out of it, because the word care is a career.
Mhm.
Um, and I don't, the thing is a lot of these kiddos, they don't know how to say, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
I think I would say, I would estimate that a lot of people don't know how to really say, I don't care about that. If push comes to shove, if you were like in a very good job, paid a lot, and maybe on the outside you're a good employee, you do a
Mhm.
really good thing, but if someone were to ask you, like, is this, what you want to do for your life? You care about this? Might be like, I really don't care.
Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Well, just to, simplify it, kind of the concept around that is when you look at people that no matter how much money you throw at them, they still don't perform, they still don't care, they
Oh
still
yeah.
don't stay. It's like, what is important? What is going to drive you
What do you
no
care about?
matter what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And the tough thing about what do you care about is that I think that a lot of people, at least in this like day and age with the social media and stuff, there's a lot of things that they don't care about. They don't know what to care about, if that makes sense. They're almost to the point where it's like they need someone to tell them. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the tough things. And, you know, when the kiddos come here, I call them kiddos, a lot of them are adults. But when they come here, a lot of them have that kind of like, well, I don't know, you tell me type of kind of reaction to stuff. And
Yeah.
so having them think for themselves, like, what do you like? What do you care about? And I have to be, one of the things I love about this job is I get to kind of be a detective. And they're like little puzzles, and I got to try to figure them out and help them figure out what they care about.
Mm.
And so that's where like the art comes from, is because creativity, there's so many different mediums. Opera is art, ballet, breakdancing, nails, beauty, aesthetics. Like, there's just theater, music is an art. Like, there's you could never run out,
Yeah.
basically. And I'm one that, if it's something you want to try, like, we'll figure it out. Like, I wrote a play this year because I have 4 kiddos that really want to do a play. And so I'm like, all right, I'll write a play. And, I'm looking for a space for us to practice and hold auditions, because I also know that there's a lot of other people out there that with disabilities that also love to be on stage.
Yeah.
Um, but they need to be given those opportunities,
Yeah.
you know?
Creativity doesn't take just one shape.
Mhm.
Everything that you've just been saying is that creativity looks different in every single person, and you're
Mhm.
trying to foster that, helping them to find out what they're passionate about.
Yes.
And in teaching that, that teaches them what? So if I'm learning these skills, is it that the other skills come along with it?
So, I mean, we don't stop, like, I don't think that education or learning should ever stop. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, if you
Agree.
wanna learn, nails, then you're gonna have to learn colors, you're gonna have to learn how to read, the
Mhm.
instructions, how to do things, especially if you're gonna take a course. And so all that kind of plays into it, as because one of the things about the methodology we use is that it looks at the whole. So, if someone's interested in, I have one girl that really wanted to, she's hoping to do esthetician, but we started her on tinseling.
Mhm.
Um, and so we kind of like the goal is esthetician. The whole picture is there, but how do we get there so
Mhm.
that when she gets there, she can be successful? And so instead of like just focusing on, okay, if she wants to do esthetician, okay, let's try to do this and let's try to do that and let's try to do this and like put it into parts. We
Mhm.
more of like look at the whole piece and it's like, okay, so then how do we get there? So that she doesn't lose her agency, that she can build stuff because her fine motor wasn't that good, and now after the tinsel thing, it's really good. And so it's all kind of ties in. You know, you've got like the social component, you've got the communication component, especially since if they're an adult in our adult program, then they actually do use whatever they're learning to sell things or to start a business. So like the tinsel, she, you know, you can book parties with her. She goes to events and she does tinsel. And she's slowly in a mentorship right now for lashes, and eyebrows. And so she's like learning that. But I'll find opportunities for my clients, for whatever they want to engage in. You know, that's the one thing that I'm never shy about asking about. You know, if I have a kiddo that's like obsessed with houses, like I'll hit you up and be like, hey Donna, can you take a mentee like and use
I'd
a
be
free
happy to
assistant, you know?
yeah, to teach anything I can, to uplift. And these are, the kids that you work with. I've met a lot of them over the last few years, and there's some pretty incredible humans.
Yeah.
I mean, not first of all, the raw talent
Mhm.
that nearly every single one of them I've met has,
Yeah.
like, if you just looked at the art that they create and knew nothing about them and said, "Tell me who this person could be that's doing this," it wouldn't always match who this person is.
No.
But that's our own intrinsic biases that are talking, right?
Yeah.
You're stripping away some of those biases with the people like myself, who's not a part of your program, but I look from the outside in. And I think that as a society, we have, again, not to overuse this, but put those with disabilities like this into a box.
Yeah.
And we make a lot of assumptions as to what their life's going to be, what they're capable of. And that is based on lack of information, I think. There hasn't, only recently, I think, has it really become something that's being studied.
Yeah.
But we speak completely out of our heinies about what we think is possible for these kids. Now, will everyone achieve the same thing? No, but none of us do, right?
Yeah.
So you're giving opportunity, giving them life skills, giving them
Mhm.
that agency, which then gives them a lot of pride that keeps propelling them forward.
Yeah,
When
some
you
of them have been learning to, like, schedule their events, ask about stuff. One of them,
that's
I don't know how he got my number, but he started, asking for rides to the program because he kinda overheard that transportation might have been an issue
uh-huh.
'cause because one of his siblings was starting a new program, and so he just kind of took it upon himself, and I didn't know. I thought that mom had told him to message me,
Yeah.
and I didn't know until I messaged her one day and said, "I'm so sorry I'm gonna be late," and she was like, don't know what you're talking
What?
about." And I was like, and she was like,
So he was
"Oh."
arranging his own transportation.
Yeah, he just took it upon himself, and I mean, that's a part of what we teach, you know, it's like
Mhm.
it's your responsibility, like, if you are a 29-year-old and you come to Pi, I'm gonna treat you like a 29-year-old, I'm gonna hold you accountable, I'm gonna teach you responsibility, I'm gonna make it so that you realize that you're, you know, very capable and that mom doesn't need to be doing anything for you, that you can think for yourself, and that you need to start having that agency, owning your agency. And so that's, you know, we do that. And if it takes me, you know, like 10 years until you finally can text and ask for a ride from somebody, then that's how long it takes. Because unfortunately, um, after, after the age of 25, like your sponginess that happens in the brain doesn't happen as often. And then after like 35, you're lucky. That's why learning becomes a little bit harder. If you stop learning, if you've
Yeah.
continually been learning, then, you know, your rapid fire is fine.
It's a
Uh,
muscle.
yeah,
Yeah. I was
yeah.
I was starting to worry that my little sponge is getting dry. That could account for why sometimes I forget my own name. Something goes in, something has to leave.
Yeah.
Um, that's
Um,
yeah, what you do is pretty amazing. Now, as you grow and scale pie, you're doing so much more than you were when you began.
yes.
What are some of the biggest hurdles what are some of the biggest hurdles you're facing?
Staffing.
Okay.
We've been through, I would say, like 2 of these before, where we need more staff, but we don't need anyone full time.
Mhm.
But eventually we will.
Mhm.
And so it's like I need staff, but I can't give anyone full time, and the people that want part time are not super reliable about things. And so it's like I could offer full time to get more people, but then I lose, our revenue is in trouble. And being a nonprofit, it's just a big balancing game because, like, especially our studio is growing so much, and our manager Noelle, who's wonderful and has done
Mhm.
an amazing job. And her, everyone that's come to me, it's always some weird way that I hire them. Um, she was in my Buy Nothing group, and she randomly posted that she was looking for a job. And, I saw her name, and I think I messaged her and I was like, "Hey, I think I have a job for you." And she's like, "Okay." I had no idea what was going on, but God was like, "You should hire her."
Mhm.
And come to find out she's got like all this experience and is just really good, and she's done an amazing job, but like she's desperate for an assistant manager. But trying to find an assistant manager that's willing to do part-time, that also has like art experience, that also is willing to work for a nonprofit
Yeah.
and not want like, because I can't pay like, the tough thing is also that like I view art as very high value. And
Mhm.
so I want to pay artists what they're worth, but being a nonprofit and
Yeah.
what we do, I can't.
Yeah.
And so I need to find people that are willing to share their talents and gifts, but not expect that like high pay. Like when
Yeah.
I do events, I don't even pay myself, right? Because
Yeah.
we're a nonprofit, and most of our classes are either activities are either free or, $5.
Low cost.
Yep. Very
Yeah.
low cost,
And
affordable.
the plight of the nonprofit. I mean, I'm involved with another area nonprofit group that we were luckily able to get a little bit more funding coming up this next fiscal year that will bring us up to sort of close to something that might be okay wage wise. So, are we going to be competing? Probably not still, but it will be a lot better than where they're at.
Yeah,
So that is something I hear from a lot of nonprofits.
yeah.
So with that said, how can people support what you're doing?
Well,
How can they give?
you can give on the website. We always look for like monthly supporters. We have a fundraising lead now who is doing a fantastic job, and she is putting together lots of fundraisers. So just like trying to stay up to date with those, sign up for our newsletter. We always have like different ways. We're hoping that the carnival that's coming in 2027 can be
Mhm.
a good fundraiser for us. So if you're a business owner, you want to be a part of that. I don't think it's too early to talk about it, but
No, get it in your budgets, people. Like this is a great organization to support.
yeah, we're
And
doing a
if you can't
carnival,
support
so
with money, which we would prefer, no, I'm kidding.
of
But
art.
there's also other ways. But just knowing you want to be involved, don't be afraid to put your hand up.
Mhm.
And Pauline or her people can guide you into what's a good fit
Yeah.
for wherever you are
Yep.
in that, wanting to give space, right?
Yeah.
What are some of the goals? I know you just mentioned you've got a new carnival coming up next year.
So yeah, the gala is done. I felt God say we're done with this.
Mhm.
And the funny thing is I wasn't sure why, but this year I've gotten like 5 invitations to different art shows featuring artists with disabilities.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, okay, I get it. Like the idea caught on. Like the idea of the gala was really to highlight a community that is overlooked. And now seeing so many different like organizations and places do shows similar to a night of pure imagination, it makes me really happy because that was the goal. The
Yeah.
goal was never to make it just something for us and never let other people do it.
Yeah.
That's not how change can happen. And so the carnival is like the gala, but like times 10. So
It's
it's
evolved.
yeah. It'll be a free event as well,
Wow.
hopefully. That's the hope, if we
Yeah.
get the sponsors and stuff, but it'll be a free event for the community, mainly people with disabilities, because I want to create an experience that I believe a lot of people with disabilities haven't experienced, and it's the school carnival. So one of my favorite TV shows is Gilmore Girls, and if you know anything about Gilmore Girls, I love Taylor Dozy. I don't really like Taylor Dozy, but I think with his crazy carnivals and winter festivals he does,
Hmm.
that makes him kind of a cool guy. And so I really want to make a carnival like the lazy, crazy, hazy days of summer,
Okay.
where you just have, and I really want like business owners to come up with some carnival games that, amplify their business. So like Ryan, I'm talking to you at Lazy Days.
You hear that, Ryan? You're being
Do
called out.
do a beer, like a, what is that, the bottle throw,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, with the Lazy Days brew or whatever, like that is something that ties to his business. And we're gonna be out at ProTech, and so they have a beautiful space and they work with nonprofits, and Mike is wonderful. Thank you, Mike. And so, you know, we're also gonna have like a dunk tank for some reason. Everyone wants to dunk
Oh,
me.
because it is so fun to dunk people. Like, you can have, like, "Okay, we're donating this much. Who wants to match it to dunk her twice? How about 3 times, 4
Yeah,
times?" I mean,
that's Ernie,
we
man.
could
Ernie was
find
like, "Let's
somebody who
dunk
wants
you."
to maybe we could dunk Mayor Beatty. She might be game.
She's pretty, yeah,
She's a lot of fun, and she
yeah.
supports the
She's super
the
cool.
Beaverton community so well. Pi, in case you're listening, is located in Beaverton,
Mhm.
but they serve the greater metro area. People
Yeah,
come
and
from all over.
yes, we actually have people come from Camas. We've got a student from Gresham. We've
Yeah,
got one that's from St. John's.
yeah. So just because you're not within the boundary of Beaverton doesn't mean that you can't connect with Pi.
Yeah, which is why
Yeah,
the carnival is going to be in Portland. It's
that's
because I want
amazing.
to reach
Well,
other families.
maybe we
Yeah.
can tap Mayor Beatty. That I bet we
Yeah.
could get some serious cash.
Okay, I would like that.
Love her or
Well,
hate her, you can dunk her.
I will have Ernie, I'll stick Ernie on her.
It's
But
fantastic.
yeah, so we're trying to get local businesses. Like if they don't want to do a carnival game, that's fine. You're going to
Mhm.
just showcase your business. Looking
They
for
can
like,
still be a sponsor.
yeah, look,
Yeah,
and we want businesses to vend there too. We
yeah.
really want to highlight businesses that maybe have something to do with the disabled community. Something like I would love like Karina to have a booth there because she does so much good stuff in
Karina's
Beaverton.
Bakery.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And just like highlight, I know like Ryan has got I think he's got a brewer guy that I think he says has autism. And so like, just, want to celebrate those business owners that are taking that initiative and trying to make a difference in the community.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. There's
Um,
another restaurant that I found where they're completely like gluten free, no seed oils, like I think like celiac friendly too. Yeah, I'm hoping that they'll come too, just because the population very sensitive to foods.
yeah, absolutely. Any thoughts on expansion in the future?
Yeah. So the great vision of Pi one day is to actually have a campus. So we want to have a campus with housing and private housing, but the campus would be open to the public, more like of a town center, if you will, with like a bakery, a cafe, a business center, agriculture, farmers market, theater, creative space, just a really big space. And the biggest thing with the Pi campus is that so there's a lot of places that like say like, oh, we only hire people with disabilities, or we're a cafe that's run by people with disabilities, and there's
Mm,
nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
For Pi, we won't share that information. We won't be outwardly speaking about that very
Mhm,
much. What we want to do is we want to serve people and they not know until they leave, because the people that want to patron places that hire people with disabilities,
mhm.
they already want to go there. Like they
Yeah.
already want to support those people. Like I don't have to convince them,
Mhm,
right? I'm not trying to change those people's minds. I'm trying to change the people that want nothing to do with people with disabilities.
mhm. To have those misconceptions.
Yeah. And if I can do it in a way that they have no idea that
Mhm.
they just sat down in a cafe that was entirely run by people with disabilities, their waiter, cashier, the baker, you know, going out to the farmer's market, all the garden, like all the produce
Yeah.
grown by our people, the pie kids. It's not until they leave that they realize, because that's how I think you can fight ignorance. That's how I think you can fight that kind of bias.
Yeah, you have to break down the walls that they built around that,
Hmm.
and doing it by, trying to appeal to the logic isn't always it, right? Kinda
Hmm.
gotta sneak up behind them, and then they go, "Oh, wait."
Yeah.
Hopefully, that's the
Yeah.
goal,
Mm.
is to change those minds. So it sounds like you're wanting to build an inclusive village.
Yeah.
Like, that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Where the clients can live and work in a safe place.
yeah.
If they want to move off campus, we'll have busing, hopefully, and they can still come to work, or they work somewhere else and live there. But I also want it to be to where, if they move out and it's like, I'm not comfortable, I want to be in a community, they can always come back. But the goal is independence, for them to be thriving on their own, to have a bright and vibrant life, because they deserve it.
Well, and what a magnificent impact that would make on the community at large.
Yeah.
I'm all for it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what I can lend to it or give to it, but sign me up, even if it just means I show up and help out. Yeah, I'm going to be
Thank
watching
you.
for that vision to come true. Who knows how long it'll take, but um
Only God.
yep, and you never know. You never
Yep.
know what's around the next corner. So,
Yep.
I love your passion and your heart for people, because it's like, I would say I know a lot of really great people and really compassionate people and really lovely, lovely souls. Yours is unique.
No.
You are selfless to where we have to remind you, Pauline, you're only one person.
That's true.
Because we worry. We want you to be healthy and continue to do what you do. So I know that there's been several people that say, "Girl, are you taking on, is this too much?"
Nah.
Because you not only do this 23 hours of the day, but the other 15 hours of your day, you are lifting up other businesses and other entrepreneurs and other folks within the community, like nobody's business. I know we're going over an hour, but whatever. We're going to go over an hour because this is important. You show up for businesses like nobody else I know, with no expectation of anything in return.
No, I wanna support them.
Yes,
Times
you're
are
just
tough.
lifting them up.
Times are hard.
Yeah. They are,
And
but you aren't expecting, like, mass followings. You're not expecting free boxes from whoever, although if you wanna send
how?
Pauline boxes, you call me, I'll make sure we connect you. But you just show up authentically to support them, and
Yeah,
whatever
well,
comes, comes, right?
everyone that I know that has a business, they're hardworking. They all have a story. They all have something that they care about, and
Yeah.
the economy sucks.
Well, yeah, and we all have our struggles, and a lot of so many times you don't know that people are struggling. They're putting on that face. They're showing up. They're grinding,
Yeah,
and there's always so much going on that we don't get to see. But
yeah,
you're there showing up for them. You've got a super authentic social media presence under Faith Food and Interviews.
yeah.
Okay. You have influenced me
Oh.
so many times, and to where I'm like, I've got to work out a little longer because I had to go try that cheesy bun thing at Fernridge Bakery.
Oh,
Like, you're
that was
killing me,
so good.
Smalls. But I support you, which means I'll support them. And if that means another half an hour on the bike, so be it.
Yeah. Well, and
Um,
don't forget, I also have the foster dogs that we're
I
still trying
know.
to
I was
find
just
home
going to
for.
say. So not only are you wrangling kids and young adults, and wrangling these businesses and supporting them, you are literally wrangling an entire Noah's Ark
Yeah, I have 10
at your
dogs right now.
house. 10 dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody, think about your one dog or your one cat. Multiply that. 10.
Yeah, they're good dogs.
You're
They're
so
just
selfless, though. I mean, that's where you're putting their needs, again, above your own. I know you look out for yourself, you do, but you're putting other people's needs, other creatures' needs above your own. And you do it with such grace.
dogs are special. I think that, I've always loved dogs, and I actually, when I was little, wanted to be a vet. I just wasn't a smart Asian, so had to go a different route. I was a terrible student.
We're
Um,
honest here on this
yeah.
podcast. We're not
Uh,
showing you the shiny side.
but you know, 900 to 1,200 dogs are euthanized each day in America.
Oh,
That's
that
it's
shouldn't be
hard to think
happening.
about.
Yeah.
And, this last holiday, there was an uptick in abandonments, which is how I ended up with as many dogs as I do. And so many of them they're just left. They're just, tossed aside. And I get it, right? Some circumstances,
Yeah.
there's not much you can do. And
You're not judging.
no, sometimes you want a dog and your circumstances change and it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But, I've got the space. I've got some good dogs that will take care of those dogs, and so they're all cohesive. They kind of if you know anything about Cesar Millan, that, like, pack mentality, that's kind
Mhm.
of basically what I have. And so they're all really sweet, and, one of them just found a home, and so I was really, really, it's
I
so bittersweet.
I watched that, video you shared, and I like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Like, I am that person that will cry at every movie. I'll cry when I'm happy, I'll cry when I'm sad, I'll cry when somebody's hurting. It hurt my heart, but I also know that's the goal
Yeah.
of fostering.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, each dog isn't easy, Amber and Neve how do you say
Nieves?
it? Yes, there you go. Nieves. She actually adopted one of our dogs. She's, Lola, I think is their name. I forget what they changed the name to because her name was Amber, so Amber
Okay.
had to change it. But, that was really bittersweet because she had been with me, like, almost a year.
And you do
She's
form an attachment.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
you've
you just
you've
can't.
worked with these
It
dogs through trauma. I
yeah,
mean, much like you do with your students.
yeah.
You're teaching them how to be better doggies, better
Yeah,
companions.
that's true.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually reach out and say, "This is the best dog I've ever had."
Yeah. See, so is that your reset? Is that what you do in your downtime? I mean, like, do you do anything to take care of you?
My downtime is my Jesus time.
Okay.
So, I always have Jesus time in the mornings. I always
Okay.
like to read my devotionals, pray, but, I've just changed my office to a praying office so that I can hopefully pray more at the office. Pi was built on prayer and faith, and as much as I'm like, "Oh, I'll just do it after work, I'll do it after work," God has been really pressing on me to, like, "No, you need to just build it into your day."
Mhm.
Like, there's no reason to, like, do it after work. Like, I watched, the master class with Bob Iger,
Mhm.
who's the CEO of Disney,
Yeah.
and that man, like, as a CEO, I'm like, "You don't do a lot of work, man."
I think that
Like, the kind of work that I think
yeah.
is work.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the stuff that he does is important
Mhm.
to the vision and the legacy of Disney, right?
Yeah.
And so even though he's not, like, taking a bunch of meetings or, doing this or he's not sitting down with all these people, he even says that he just sometimes goes into his office and just stares and does nothing. But those are all important, like, those resets, educating himself, learning about stuff, taking that time, slowing down, like, there's parts that he talks about that he, like, just purposely in his day, like, slows down,
Mhm.
um, and it's all, like, on purpose because you can't do it after work because there's, like well, for his credit, he does, he, like, says everything
But a
stops at
lot of
7
people,
PM, but
things get in the way. Life
yeah,
gets in the way.
yeah.
So, yeah, I get it. Now, with your school, if someone is secular, is it a welcoming space for
Oh,
all?
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I don't want anyone listening to get an idea that they have to be churchy or
No, 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 no,
yeah,
no, no.
yeah.
No, it's just that at our
That's
core,
your mission.
we operate out of grace, compassion, and love. So that's our
Okay.
core.
So if those are three important things to you, this is the organization to align with, regardless of your belief system,
Mhm. Just
you know?
know that how we will react and, like, receive you will
Yeah,
be from that core.
that's fantastic. Um, I don't getting back to your supporting all the other folks that you do. Now, as I say this and you're listening and you've held with us this long, we're at an hour and 7 minutes, which isn't that long, really. People spend that much time just scrolling. If you want to support someone, remember, Pauline will welcome your support
Mhm.
and you can connect with me. You can connect with the show notes to find out where you can find Pauline. But literally, just text me. My phone number is everywhere on the internet. So you can text me and I'll make sure and connect you guys. But so, Pauline, I know you support all these other folks, right? Do you have like two top spots right now that if somebody was looking for something fun to eat or fun to do, that you'd send them? And I know you hate to name names, and you can say I won't name
Um,
names. But
2 top spots?
yeah, do you have a couple that, like, if I said, Pauline, I've got a friend in from out of town, where should I take him for a yummy lunch?
A yummy lunch.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
that's
you hit
tough.
all the cool spots. I know.
Yeah,
It's like
that's
picking your
tough.
favorite child.
I don't know. I just go ask the Chambers. That's what I would
Go
say.
ask the chamber. And
I'll make Alicia do it.
we did not pay Pauline to say that.
Go bug Caelus. I don't know.
Okay, so,
Ask Joffer. He eats everywhere.
yeah, he does. He
Yeah.
really does. I know you know all the hot spots, though. I tell you,
I can't pick a
almost
favorite.
everything that you find on her social media, Faith, Food, and Interviews. Is
Yeah.
that what it is on Instagram?
I
Don't do
will
it on an
say
empty stomach. You're gonna go get in your car and you're gonna want to hit all 5 things that she's promoting.
2 Beaverton places that I've been dying to try
Uh-huh.
are Canard, that
Oh
just opened
yeah.
up in the old Beaverton Bakery
Yep.
next to Binary, and Ranch Pizza.
Okay. Kennard is we have a lot of Portland hotspots
Yes.
expanding out into the suburbs and into Beaverton specifically.
Yeah, I
So
will say one thing. My sister, my big sister, she lived here for a long time. She was
Mhm,
always in Portland, the east side mainly.
mhm,
And she moved away. She moved to California. And she came up here when I opened the studio like 3 years ago,
mhm.
2.5 years ago. She came up and visited. And she had never been to Beaverton. So when she first moved here, Beaverton wasn't a place that you wanted to go.
No.
And so, she came over to Cedar Hills. We ate at Shake Shack.
Mhm.
She was blown away. She was blown away. She's like, "You guys have so many Portland places." Like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh." She couldn't, it's like Cedar Hill, she said, was beautiful. And
Yeah.
she was just so happy to see like how much Beaverton has changed. And she was like, "I can see why you're here. Like, this is wonderful." And I was like, "Yeah, our mayor has done an amazing job."
The city as a whole, between our counselors and our mayor, have really focused on making Beaverton a place to stay,
Yeah.
not just come and work and leave, but
Yeah.
to, even if you're from out of town or Portland, to come do your job wherever you are in Beaverton, but
Yeah.
stay
Yeah. It's
and
not just
enjoy.
nice rental anymore, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, it's not just about coming here to work and then scooting out. We have so much to offer, and it's
yeah.
such a vibrant, really welcoming community. The Pacific Northwest as a whole, I think a lot of our communities are that. But
Mhm.
Beaverton, it took a while to get there, but we are, and we're still have a ways to go.
Yeah.
But man, it's been transformative. So fantastic. All right. So that was the most PC answer to that question we could have ever done. Follow her on Instagram, and you'll have plenty of nudges on places to go check out. And I'll have all of the ways to connect with her, whether it's through Pi, whether it's through her supporting of local businesses. I'll have all those links in the show notes and on Facebook and on Instagram, all the places. So if you've got a work-free Saturday in Oregon, and you could spend the day doing that, we're wrap it up now. So if you could spend the day doing anything you wanted from sunrise to sunset, where would we find you?
I could do anything that I wanted.
Anything. And we're not we you have all the time, you have the cash, you have all the things.
I would go catch the sunrise hot air balloon ride at the Tulip
Oh,
Festival.
yeah.
I've always wanted to see a sunrise.
And you haven't done that.
I've seen a few. I'm glad that Oregon, you can actually see a sunrise
No,
because,
but I mean in the balloon.
no, I've never done that.
So I worked in radio for a long time, and we had a auctions twice a year, and the balloon people out south of here always gave us gift certificates for that people would bid on. And one year we didn't, not everybody bid on them. Like sometimes there's one that's left over and nobody ever picks it up or whatever. Um, my boss gave it to me
Mm.
He was such a lovely man. He's not with us anymore. Ugh.
Mm.
Don McCown gave that to me, and I'm afraid of heights, but weirdly, I like small planes, things like that. So I was okay going in because I'm like, I'm not going to fall out of this. So it's
So
fine.
I learned that the fear of heights is more that you have a fear of falling.
Yes, fear of losing, like I don't have control, right?
Yeah.
Totally. That's totally what it is. I'm
Yeah.
afraid driving over a bridge as a passenger, but not as a driver. So yeah, I believe you there, 100%. Um, it is amazing. We have to
Yeah.
find a way to get you into a balloon ride for the sunset or the sunrise or both,
Yeah.
because it is, well, they're mostly fly in the morning because of the whole atmospheric pressure thing. It is very transformative, and you're a spiritual person. That will be a very transformative experience for you. I
Yeah.
guarantee it. So we've got to find a way to make that happen. Anybody listening want to like reach out to me, want to make Pauline's dream come true? I will help you make that happen.
Oh,
Um,
yay.
like, I don't know who listens to this or how many people, but I don't care. Send it to the one person who can make that happen. That's amazing. So, any last words of support or encouragement for people today?
Um, I'd say if you have a story, and I'm sure you do, reach out to Donna. Let her put you on her podcast,
Mhm.
share your story, be a part of the Keys to the Pacific Northwest because, it's always good to share our little slice of heaven over here. Oh,
Well,
look at the
I
cat.
know Rosie's been pretty good. She's getting a little impatient. I was gone all day today, and she's like, what are you doing, girl? And so, yeah, she just jumped up on my desk. Don't step on the keys, girl. Yeah, we live in such a unique place. We are the number one place people are moving in 2025. So don't listen to the headlines.
No.
We are a very welcoming space. Beaverton was the second best in the entire West Coast.
Yeah.
Their goal is to be number one next year. Mayor Beatty was like, "Nope, I'm not accepting number two. Who do we talk to?" So we are a pretty special place. So if you're wanting to relocate, just between Pauline and I, we'll show you around. so,
Yes.
so Pauline, what is your web address?
www.piempower.org.
Okay.
PIEMPOWER powered. Is there ed.org? Ooh, I don't remember.
It's okay. It'll be in the show notes. It'll be on Instagram.
Okay.
It'll be on Facebook. It'll be on this podcast is on all of the podcast platforms. And so
Oh,
those
cool.
notes will be in the show notes. I will make sure it's all linked. And again, you all know how to reach me because if you Google even my first name and real estate, I am everywhere on Google. So I
Thanks
will
for
get you.
having me on here, and thanks for letting me
Ah,
go a little longer. Sorry about that.
it's okay. There are some people that it's worth it. I'm actually interviewing someone at the end of this week that might be a two-parter because he's a sociologist in Portland, and it's going to be a great show. So it may end up being a two-parter. So it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
That's why I do this. It's mine. I can do what I want. So, Pauline, thank you so much for joining me today. The way you're weaving together intellect, art, true agency to lift up communities here is nothing short of inspiring. And I
Thank
mean
you.
every word of that. It's clear you aren't just teaching, you're building a blueprint for how we can all show up better for one another. So, to everyone listening, if Pauline's mission sparked something in you today, please head over to the show notes. I know I've said that already a few times, but you'll find all the links to the Program for Intellectual Empowerment and Unified Art Studio, along with her fun to follow Food Faith Interviews Instagram page. Give her a follow on social media, not just for the incredible student art, but for the local recommendations and foster dog updates that makes our feed so much brighter. You bring a light to our feed. So
Thank you.
supporting local visionaries like Pauline is exactly how we keep the heart of the upper left beating strong. If you've enjoyed this episode, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share the story with someone who believes in the power of a paradigm shift. I'm Donna Musin. Stay curious, stay local, and we'll see you at the next stop.